Okay.
I tried to call you twice yesterday, Mike.
You what?
I tried to call you twice yesterday.
I'm busy.
I saw you yesterday.
Whenever you're ready. Call meeting to order. We'll have a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have a roll call.
Bruner. Here. Farnham.
Here.
Helsley.
Here.
Patrick. Here. Voigt.
Here.
Zuber.
Here.
Janice.
Here. Has everybody looked at the February 11th meeting minutes? Are there any additions or corrections? If not, could we have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the February 11th, 2015 meeting. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Everybody looked over the claims against the county. Are there any questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve them.
I'll make that motion.
Would anybody be interested in seconding that?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims against the county. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item 6 is the county board member claims.
So moved.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the county board members' claims. All those in favor, usual sign.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Public comment.
Morning. Got my comment typed up here, so I'll just read it. I hereby affirm that the information provided on this application and accompanying resume, if any, is true and complete. I understand that any false or misleading representations or omissions on the application or during the hiring process may disqualify me from further considerations for employment and may result in discharge even if discovered at a later date. What does that mean to you guys? To me, if I'm the one that signed that, I would expect to be immediately terminated should I have provided any false or misleading statements. If I were the supervisor, I would demand the termination of the person that provided the false or misleading information on their application. Your airport manager signed his name under that very statement twice on 2 separate pieces of paper. It's already been proven prior to today that he had misleading information on his application. The last time we proved he was legally ineligible to pilot an aircraft or to be a pilot in command for training others, and that his required medical to do those things had expired more than 16 years earlier. But yet he checked certified. Later on, we found that there was an airplane crash last August at the airport. Nobody knows when it crashed, why it crashed, or how the severely damaged airplane got from the runway into the T-hangar. It appears nobody cares why an airplane crashed at Edgar County property. Coincidentally, that airplane belonged to the very person Jerry used as a reference on his job application. Now I come with more information obtained last week, proving once again that Jerry Griffin placed more false and misleading information on his job application and resume. This at this time involves where he previously worked in his job duties. On page 3 of his application, I'll give you a copy of this so you don't have to write it all down. On page 3 of his application is an aircraft maintenance as his job title with Aircraft Service Center in Fort Pierce, Florida from 2007 to 2010. He also stated he performed 100-hour inspections on flight school airplanes. When Mr. Ghaffari, the owner of the Aircraft Service Center, was asked, he stated in writing, Jerry is not an A&P and has only been our helper, cleaner, washing aircraft and mopping the floors. He would help remove panels and cowling when we needed assistance, but to my knowledge, he did not do any flight instruction while he worked with us. On his attached resume, he states that from 2005 to 2010, he was an aircraft mechanic at the Aviator Flight School in Fort Pierce, Florida. Guess what that guy said? Mr. Spear, in writing, when we asked, I have reviewed our employee files and he has never worked for us. Ever. So just to recap, Jerry Griffin cannot pilot an aircraft. He cannot give flight instruction while being pilot in command. He has never been an A&P, did not perform A&P work for the Aircraft Service Center, never worked for the flight school. These were all false and misleading statements on his job application. He cheated others out of a job. He signed a statement twice. There's no reason to keep him working even one more minute for the county. He cheated another qualified job applicant out of a job. In other words, he stole the job from that other person. He stole the job from somebody who spent more than 20 years in the military and retired as a Chief Warrant Officer 3. He stole the job from a disabled veteran. I cannot imagine how you can let this train wreck continue on the path it's on. Please do something.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Just brief follow-up on our 911 stuff. Thank you, Sheriff. I know our last 3 calls in that page that we get, we've been notified that Ashmore responders have been notified, so we do appreciate that. It definitely has made a difference. In regard to what Mr. Kraft just said, I don't know how many of y'all have kids, and how you deal with your kids when they lie to you. But at some point, you got to say enough's enough. I mean, the man has blatantly lied on his application. It's clear. Nobody vetted where he was employed. And when you contact his employer that he claimed to have been at, and they tell you in writing he's never worked there, that when you allow that to continue, it casts more negative light on the county, and we don't need that. And I would appreciate if you'd all just do the right thing on that.
Thank you.
My name is Robert Bogan. I'm an Edgar County resident. I think the watchdogs have stolen all my thunder. But I did want to talk about the Edgar County Airport. Griffin, I did want to mention the application and the lies on the application, or the misstatements or inaccuracies, however you choose to look at this. But I want to affirm what John has said, what Kirk has said, that Jerry claimed to be employed as an aircraft mechanic, Aviator Flight School in Fort Pierce, Florida, for 5 years, 2005 to 2010. There's an interesting overlap in the documents here. He also claimed he was working for Aircraft Service Center, Fort Pierce, Florida, from 07 to 10. So there's an overlap there, obvious error. He didn't get it right. Jerry's been up at the airport for about 7 months, and we've been bringing these things to your attention for quite a while now. And now you have proof. John will provide you with copies. I'd like for things at the airport to get better, but I don't think they can get better until you fix the problems. This is one of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, number 8. Butch Parrish was going to be here, but he isn't here. And you say you have information?
Yeah, about a year ago, Butch came in my office, and specifically in the vault where all the recording information is archived. And he was concerned about the restoration of some of the old original books that we have on file. And he was talking to the some people down at Vincennes University about getting some grant money to help with that restoration project, which supposedly would be at no cost to the county. Well, between then and now, Butch has had some bumps in the road in his life, and he came in the other day and said he wanted to get on the agenda. He came in yesterday and said, scratch that, I'm not ready, because the contact person at Vincennes University they haven't made contact. And he said he's not quite ready, but he wanted me to just give you a brief update that he is getting ready to get back on track with this project on restoration of some of those old records. And so he sends his regrets, but he's just not ready today.
Augie, I think I'm the contact person. I do have a note, so has an email address, so I would do it and get in contact with the person doing
Okay.
it.
Yeah, so I think we're getting back on track now, and Butch was excited, so
Thank you.
certainly.
Item 9, highway resolutions. Number 1, resolution authorizing county board chairman to sign LA/federal agreement BLR 05310 for the following CH1 section 14-00124-00-RS. Aaron?
This is the final agreement for the local agency federal participation on the resurfacing on County Highway 1 from US 150 to Clinton Road. Final agreement was due in Springfield on March 5th. So obviously we're a little late getting this agreement to them. So this is to do the resurfacing, the federal resurfacing from Route 150 to Clinton Road on County Highway 1 with an April letting.
I'll make that motion. And I'll second it.
The roll call.
Bruner,
Yes.
Farnham,
Yes.
Helsley,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Voigt,
Yes.
Zuber.
Yes.
Motion carried. Item 2 is a resolution for improvement of BLR 09110 appropriating motor fuel tax for the following CH33 section 13-00121-01-WR.
Pay close attention to the -01WR in that section. About 18 months ago or so, you guys approved a -00-WR section. This is for Prairie's Edge. The 01 section, what we're doing now is we are setting up a second section, an 01 section that would do the 3 intersections in order to create a highway section. The county board, if we're going to use any type of motor fuel tax participation, the county board must set up, must approve my setting up a 9110 to appropriate dollars to be used on the 01 section. So again, you've already set up an 00 section, let's say 18 months ago, and now you're being asked to participate in an 01 section, which is the 3 intersections within that project.
Now, I wasn't there Monday, and I've received some information from some of the other board members, but I want to be clear on something here. This Harrington thing, if Stan picks up and moves to Ogden and opens a truck stop and abandons this one out here, what are we obligated to do if this goes through as far, do we have to pay the money back?
According to the language in the agreement, it states if they do not meet their reporting requirements for 5 continuous years from the time the funding agreement is signed, the county may be required to pay back the EDP grant portion of the project.
And that's how much at ballpark?
over $1 million.
Okay. We've already spent 100 and some thousand on this in studying and,
Yes.
is that accurate?
$140,000 so far.
And if we, do I understand that you've been in contact or went out and talked to the Harringtons?
Yes.
And what was that? Can you give me a brief little scenario of what happened, what that conversation?
I've talked to, there's been multiple visits. Generically speaking, they're not going anywhere. Business is good. They have people in line. They're hiring, they're buying more equipment. Employees say that they can't keep up. I've had interviews with individual employees. I've had interviews with Steve Harrington and Stan Harrington, Rick Singer, Gary Abernathy. Generically speaking, Harrington's is going very, very well. And generically speaking, an EDP grant application and selection is for just that. And I think it's safe to say that other agencies have been in our shoes. Small localities and municipalities that want to make a go at improving economic development in their particular location. So all the folks I've talked to, have recommended or suggested that we continue to pursue this improvement. In fact, after we chose not to last month, it became very apparent to me that there's a lot of folks at the state level that are very interested in this project happening. So to answer your question directly, do I have assurances they'll be there for 5 years? No. And also keep in mind, no one does. Anyone that partakes in these type of risks or aggressive opportunities, they take risks. But I'll also say that with federal participation comes, it better positions us to do the project. I know Denise in the paper said on Monday that I had mentioned that it's not that far-fetched. I just don't know what the Beacon said. I don't remember particularly what I said, but it says not that far-fetched for us to make this improvement. And what I remember comparing it to is like the Shiloh Road project north of the Horace Crofton Road project. You know, the county makes selections on roadway improvements on its own, and the county board must support those selections. And it's my opinion that even without an economic development grant, which this is where I've got to be careful because I think I might have been misquoted, even without an economic development grant, I think this county board, I think I may be able to convince this county board that that's a good improvement anyway. That's what I meant to say. I'm not sure if that's what I said. So if for instance, if this board would think that that's a good improvement anyway, and then I'd come along later and say, oh, I got half of it paid for, I think you'd kick your heels. So I guess the risk is, it's a brick and mortar improvement, so at the end of the day, if they do leave, you still have a new road.
Yeah, well, we got $1 million bill to pay.
Right.
And have we been in this position before unknowingly that we've had hooks? And I'm gonna call it that to simplify it, if somebody reneges on something or some gas station moves out, that's why we improved this intersection. I mean,
Yeah, I don't. In my tenure, we've not had language in a contract that stipulated that if you have to meet these reporting requirements for 5 years. To answer your question, no, I'm not aware of any in my tenure, and I'm not aware of the county ever getting an EDP grant. And I'm sure the city has. But so, based on significant amount of time that I've spent visiting with various folks at various levels in various positions, not only developers, but DOT folks and the county board, my recommendation is strong in that we should move forward.
is there anybody on the board, and I'm not pointing at anybody at you, Alan, that would have any direct knowledge that Pedco or any of the,
Thanks for looking at me.
Yeah, well, Alan. But does anybody know specifically if they're pursuing some of the properties, well, like Vogue out here or something, that they're trying to get him to move there? If there's anything substantial to that, do we have a? I'm trying to figure out before I vote. And I know I'm only one vote, but I want to know what the risk is here before I put us on the hook for $1 million. And then what the risk, what the chances of him actually collecting that if he does renege.
My concern would be if they're expanding that much, that area doesn't have a lot of room to expand. So if they double their business, they have to start somewhere else.
They own that ground around there, yeah, so
All the
they,
housing and all that. Okay.
that's
I don't know that.
Harrington,
Yeah, Stan indicated, you know, there's two pieces there. There's Steve down on Prairie Street, and there's Stan out there, and one of them called Prairie's Edge. And it's a good point, you know, he owns all the property, and they were going through a list of how much they've already spent there. And they kind of used that as one of their bases.
And you've done a pretty thorough investigation, and your thoughts are that we ought to go ahead with it, and that's an acceptable risk. Then that's kind of what I'm wanting to find out, what you and some of the rest of you guys think here. So make sure.
Mr. Chairman, I move the approval of this resolution.
I'll second that. But I have one question. Is that that's gonna be a county road? Is it Paris Township now, or?
The county, 2.5 years ago,
Okay.
formed a master plan, and we took jurisdiction from the township in the middle and the city at both ends.
All right.
We have a motion and second on this resolution. We'll have a roll call.
Bruner?
With the reservation, I'll vote yes.
Yeah, I got a place for that kind of comment. Farnham?
Garbage can, right?
Yes.
Elsley?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Zuber?
Yes.
Oh,
Motion carried.
lost that bet.
Item 3, resolution authorizing county board chairman to sign construction engineering service agreement BLR 05511 for Hillard and BLR 05512 for Knight. CH33 section 13-00121-01-WR.
Pay attention again, -01, you've already approved -00. I also want, so this is for the 3 intersections inside that Prairie's Edge project. You're helping me assemble the federal agreements that I will ultimately bring to you. So there's several more votes, Mike, that you'll have an opportunity several more opportunities to vote on this project. So for any reason in the next several months, IDOT would change their mind again, or Harrington's would pick up and leave, or whatever, you do your own investigations. It's the funding agreement that, what I consider the largest vote you'll make. Right now, you're just putting together, you're saying, hey, I can spend money towards this project, in the one before, and on this one, you're saying, hey, we can use these folks to help build the project.
Mr. Chairman, I move the resolution.
But we're spending money all along anyway. Carl.
To the tune of about 150,000 so
We
far.
have a motion and second for the resolution. Is there any additional comment? If not, we'll have a roll call.
Bruner?
Yes.
Farnham?
Yes.
Elsley?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Zuber?
Yes.
Item 10 is a resolution extending the life of the Paris Downtown TIF District. Would you like this resolution read? Whereas the city of Paris has a tax increment finance TIF district known as the Paris Downtown TIF, and whereas the Paris Downtown TIF was established on November 9th, 1999 with a life of 23 years, and whereas the city desires to extend the life of the TIF district for an additional 12 years in order to complete development projects, and whereas the city is requesting support for the extension from the taxing districts located in the TIF district. Now therefore, on behalf of Edgar County, the county board does hereby adopt a resolution in favor of the extension of the life of the Paris Downtown TIF district for 12 years.
Question. How many different TIF districts do they have? Does anybody know?
I believe two.
This was
That's one
Jasper
in
Street.
Jasper.
That's different than this enterprise that we talked about.
Yeah.
So right to my knowledge, we have this one, we have one on Jasper Street. This is a continuation of the original one, which my understanding of it, we talked a little bit the other day, and was pretty helpful in getting some of their cash here for our courthouse. And
Yeah, they gave us $10,000 to get the initial architectural opinion on the Liberty. And then they also took on half of the cost of the redoing the top of the courthouse, the $1,000,000-some, the TIF district, City of Paris.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make that motion, if you're looking for that.
I'll second.
A roll call.
Werner,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
Elsley,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Voight,
Yes.
Zuber.
Yes.
Item 11, officer and department head reports. Don, do you have your report ready at this time?
Yes, I do, and there's not much in my report other than what you see. We've held our ground since the last board meeting for the most part. I just received some money in this morning, sales tax, so that once again, cash flow one day can make a difference. If it hadn't come in until tomorrow, then you'd be looking at about $38,000 less in revenues for this board meeting. I know this is hard to believe, but I don't have anything else to say. Is there any questions?
You're just going to give supervisor assessments?
Yes, I'm shifting roles here. Dina Hassler, the supervisor of assessments, asked me to relay a few comments. First of all, the reason she's not here is she has board of review hearings today and again on Friday. In regards to that, she's only had 50 complaints received during the 30-day window, and they have a total of 18,000 plus parcels, so she feels pretty good about that, only 50 out of 18,000. And right now they're in the process of doing the quadrennial for the northeast part of the county, meaning Burles Creek, Edgar, Prairie, and Ross. They've got 2 of the 4 quads done. Now this will be for the 15 pay 16 year. And that's all she wrote. So I will not comment any further.
Thank you. Highway Department.
The county has 3 surplus vehicles that we're taking sealed bids on, I think, until March 22nd or 3rd, I can't remember, so. If any of the county board members are looking for a 2000 Ram 4-wheel drive.
No. Never been used, right?
Never-
Church on Sunday.
Lightly used. Gently used.
Is it a discount?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that after the meeting.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Probation,
Nothing new to report, thank you.
circuit clerk,
I have nothing to report.
ESDA.
I have just a couple things. Our annual LEPC exercise date has been set for September 3rd, 2015. And we are also holding a weather spotters course on April 13th at 6 p.m. at the VFW here in Paris. It is open to the public for anyone who wants to become a trained or certified weather spotter. The cost is free, and the course is put on by the National Weather Service. And that's it.
You let fire departments know that.
Yeah, we'll set the pocket.
Ambulance service.
I do have a few things for you. We have an EMT basic class that we are hosting and teaching. It'll be our 6th class. And we'll start next month and run through September. So if you know of anybody interested in becoming an EMT basic, we have that course available for the community. We have about 9 people enrolled thus far. So that's good. We hired 40 employees this week at just PRN EMT basics. And we also have just recently purchased new cots for our fleet. power cuts. So the ones we had were 12 years old, and they had their life fully warm. So it was time to replace those. So.
Thank you. Sheriff?
Only thing I have is, we've got the paperwork submitted, attempt to get a $25,000 rural development grant, so hopefully that'll come through and we'll have a little money to spend on jail updates and maintenance. And that's it.
Thank you. Anybody I missed besides the clerk, county clerk? You ready?
We are voting. We've had 22 early voters so far, so it's significantly lower than the general election. Although it is all elections are important, but when you get down to the villages and the municipalities, it's really, and the school board members, it's, in my opinion, one of the more important elections. And so I want to encourage everyone to get out and vote and spread the word. Other than that, we're just busy doing the business of the county. Questions for me?
Thank you.
Oh, I would like to report, I'm sorry. And not to steal anybody's thunder, but just an update. We do have one of the farm leases back. Jeff, I didn't know if you were going to mention that, but so we're working on that. Okay.
Item 12, committee reports. Jeff?
The audit is progressing. Exit interviews still need to be done, or loss prevention interviews. The state's attorney will be meeting at the first study session in April with the board to review the resolution pertaining to the county jail medical cost funds and their disposition as far as the hospital. We had Jeff and I, the sheriff and I had another meeting, was it yesterday or the day before, and got a lot of things ironed out. The budget is, we've had 33% of the year has transpired. We're at 26% expenditures and roughly 18 to 19% income. Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Carl?
Nothing.
Mike?
No.
Alan?
Just an update on our meeting that we had with our human resources, trying to get a monthly association where we get them to come into the county and visit with county employees. I felt like that went pretty well. We had 5 or 6 people there, several different departments represented, and talk with them later on so that we can kind of have a general idea of what we need in the upcoming areas, especially as it goes to new and exciting things with the Affordable Care Act. So that'll be the biggest thing. Attended an ROE meeting, Regional Office Education meeting the other night. There was a push for the different types of funding, and it's already been pushed through in, I think, the House and the Senate. And we'll see what happens with that to maybe equalize a little bit, or maybe, especially from a downstate perspective, not let automatic monies just go up north if they need it, if they don't need it, so to speak. Is that a 708 regional, or a 708 county mental health meeting? That's going along just about as normal. The update there was that, they're talking about integration of a different building a different facility, trying to integrate it more with the hospital. But I think Ken always does a good job from the standpoint of giving us a complete breakdown of all of our money from a county perspective, where it all goes to. And also, the LWIA, the Local Workforce Investment Area 23, that's a part that we all have to belong to by state rules. Jerry Schlichter is the guy in charge of that, and I'm glad to see that they already jumped on the idea with when Syngenta is going out believe they've already had their first meeting on the 26th of February to talk about different parts of workforce education that could happen in transitions of these people that may be going in and out. Chamber of Commerce, they appreciate the support of the Edgar County Board in their functions that they're trying to highlight the Paris area a lot more. You know, we'll hit that with the old Christmas tree again, but also the entire square area, and trying to make things look a little bit better from the standpoint of the farmers market, you know, so I think that's it.
Thank you. Andy?
Well, just working on the roof of the courthouse, I contacted 3 different people. One of them has gotten back, and we met and did kind of a walk around. He looked at it, took pictures, and he actually gave me an estimate around $8,900 just to replace some of the slate shingles that are up, that we actually have in the attic of the courthouse. There's piles of shingles or slate shingles that are up there, so utilizing them and replacing those, the $8,900, and that's to inspect the valleys and some of the gutters. Not to, he would pass them for that, but if it requires some more extensive fabrication of some of the metal valleys and things, that there would be an added cost. But just by nature of the way the courthouse roof is, until you get up there, it's hard to tell what you got and into until you're up there. So, but I've got one. I want to get a couple more estimates to see where they are, and I'm waiting on them to get back with me.
So you'd anticipate having a recommendation for the board at our next meeting?
I'm hoping so. One of them contacted me a month ago, but never has gotten back with me, so I'm hoping they'll. In fact, I called both yesterday again, kind of see if I can light a fire or have them get back to me. So that's it.
Thank you. Dan?
No problems at the animal shelter. Still in the process of getting estimates to replace the heating and cooling system at the health department building. Had one from a company out of Champaign that seemed awfully high, so I contacted, trying to contact one in Terre Haute, and then I have a reference for one in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So it's going to take a while.
Still working on that.
Yeah, the first estimate was I think way out of line. I'm not an engineer, but it seemed awfully high. So it's going to be a while yet. So. It's not an emergency anyway, I don't think so. So maybe in a month or two I'll have a more 2 or 3 different estimates we can look at. So, okay.
Thank you. Anything else? Do we have a necessity for a closed session?
Yes, I'd like to make that motion that we go into closed session to discuss appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of a public body and or pending litigation.
You do that so well. I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to go into closed session to discuss appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, and dismissal of specific employees of the public body and pending litigation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Now I am.
We're back in regular session.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
To me, it's way out.
Motion carried. We're adjourned.